Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season in all the years he's been the head coach in Pittsburgh, but I believe that's going to change in 2024. You know what they say about streaks? Streaks are meant to be broken. And Mike Tomlin's consecutive streak of having winning seasons, I think, is broken this year. The Steelers have a lot of concerns. All right. Let's be honest, regardless of how you feel about Russell Wilson, if he's good or if he's washed up, he still is a question mark at quarterback, because you don't know if the Russell Wilson that you're going to get this year is good enough to elevate the Steelers to the playoffs when you have a healthy Joe Burrow coming back. You beat Cincinnati last year twice without Joe Burrow, and then you still have to play the Baltimore Ravens, who are just as good as what they were last year. And yes, you did sweep Baltimore in the season series in 2023, but the last time you played them was the final week of the regular season, and you barely beat them when they had their junior varsity squad out there. They trade away Deontay Johnson, and they still don't have a serviceable wide receiver 2 on the opposite side of George Pickens. You hire Arthur Smith to be your offensive coordinator. Yes, he did do a pretty good job under Mike Vrabel when the Titans made that Cinderella run a few years back with Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry. He had Ryan Tannehill playing the best football of his career, but he got to Atlanta, and his offenses were no better than below average at best. You have too tough of a schedule this year to be able to win the way that you've been able to win for the last decade or so. Just because Mike Tomlin has been able to do more with less doesn't guarantee that it's proven the Steelers are going to have a winning season this year, when this is the toughest schedule that the Steelers have ever had in all their years under Tomlin. You got to play the Chargers with Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Jets, on the road against Philadelphia, the Bengals and the Ravens twice. You're essentially playing about 8, 10 potential playoff teams this year. Just because you can find a way to get the right answer to a math problem using the wrong method of getting that answer doesn't mean that that method of getting that answer is always going to work. The NFL is a quarterback-driven league. It's hard to win with just great defense and playing smash-mouth football. Yes, Mike Tomlin has had the ability to win games and overachieve relative to expectations, but he also has had games like last year when the Steelers lost to the Patriots and the Arizona Cardinals that the Steelers had no business ever losing. This season, I don't see the Steelers being anything more than an 8-win team at best. We know the defense is going to be good, but the offense is too big of a question mark. Did the offensive line improve? Yes, you had a really good draft, but there's no guarantee that the young rookies that the Steelers drafted are going to come in here year one and they're just all of a sudden going to give the Steelers elite offensive line play. You can call me a hater all you want to, but I'm looking at this team as a not overly optimistic fan. You can make all the excuses in the world for why Russell Wilson failed in Denver. But if he was good enough, he still would have been their starting quarterback, because they wouldn't have taken a record-setting dead cap hit to get rid of him. And if Russ was still one of the best quarterbacks in the game, he wouldn't be playing for a veteran minimum contract. You keep saying that, well, he's better than what we've had before. And what the Steelers have had before hasn't been too much to write home about. If he's better than Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett and Mitchell Trubisky, cool, but is that really going to be enough to swing your chances of making it to the playoffs in your favor when you got to play Burrow and Lamar twice a season? I don't know about that. Russell Wilson, there's a good chance that he's even worse than what he was under Sean Payton, because Mike Tomlin is a defensive-minded coach. He doesn't have the ability to elevate regressing quarterback play. He's 35 years old, and his skill set has been based off athleticism and running outside the pocket. You can keep making all these excuses all you want to, but I'm going to keep coming back at you with the fact that Denver felt like Russell Wilson wasn't good enough, and it took a record-setting dead cap hit to get rid of this guy. I've yet to have anybody answer that question for me. If Russell Wilson was still a good quarterback, why did Denver cut him? Because if he was still good, he would still be on that squad. But nobody ever wants to answer that question, though. Everybody wants to live in this world where we just only think about the positive and we ignore the negatives about this team. There is some huge concerns about the Steelers on offense this year. If Russell Wilson doesn't work out, you're trotting out Justin Fields, who I just saw recently on Madden as a kick returner. Justin Fields, as much talent and potential that he has, there's no guarantee that he's going to reach that playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's a reason why the Chicago Bears replaced him for Caleb Williams. When you're going into year 5 of your NFL career and nobody knows just what you are as a quarterback, that's more of a reason to be skeptic about you than it is to be confident about you panning out. And people keep saying, well, Justin Fields was brought in to learn behind Russell Wilson. Bullshit. Justin Fields was brought in to be an insurance plan just in case Russell Wilson doesn't work out. He's a free agent after this season. They declined his 5th-year option. He's free to sign with whichever organization he pleases in free agency next year. There's no guarantee he'll be back in the black and gold next year. The Steelers' faith on offense hinges on an offensive coordinator who did a terrible job at building a good offense as the head coach for the Atlanta Falcons, an aging quarterback in Russell Wilson that's only getting worse. There's nothing that he showed in Denver to show that he's getting better other than to have good stats when all those stats were meaningless because Denver still wasn't winning a lot of games, and the only reason those numbers were so good was because they were always playing from behind once the fourth quarter came around. I just don't see it with the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. Mike Tomlin may be able to win 8 games at best to me. 9 games, a 9-win season for Pittsburgh to me is exceeding expectations. With how tough this schedule is, how tough this division is going to be. Hell, imagine if Deshaun Watson can finally figure it out. You can't judge teams based off history. I don't care if Mike Tomlin has had this long of a time without having a losing season. You just can't use that as a justification for, oh yeah, this is going to work out when every season is different. How long did Bill Belichick go without having a losing season? That eventually came to an end. History doesn't define what you are as a team because every season is different. Every year has different variables. I don't see it with the Steelers this year. Having a winning record, to me, would be a massive overachievement for Mike Tomlin and company.